Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
Love is stronger than death, even than life.
This is episode 213, recorded April 10th, 2024.
Gruesome Magazine.
All right, hello.
Was that a feminine version of Sammy Castle, Chad?
Was that Blanche
Sammy,
Dubois?
you don't need to do anything to Sammy's voice to make it feminine.
Wow.
All right, I am
Sammy.
your host in this podcast about horror films between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. Let me introduce my Grue Crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm great, and I have all of my allotted blood.
All of it? All of your allotted blood?
I do.
Okay. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan. He is a writer, director, special effects guru, all-around nice guy, and published author.
Raum, R-A-U-M. I keep forgetting there are people who just listen to this podcast and they just hear an awkward silence when I pick up my book.
And Rom, which could be spelled like 4 different ways if they don't.
Right.
No space nights here. No space nights.
No.
Also joining us tonight, speaking of space nights, the spaciest night of all, Chad Hunt. How you doing, sir?
Greg Crosby. Oh, me?
Yes, you. What are you doing, sir?
Hell if I know. I just showed up here.
You
But
shut
I'm
up.
doing okay.
Well, welcome back, sir. You've
Welcome
been
back.
out a while.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
This is his return tour is over with this episode. He's now been on all the decades. of
Okay.
horror.
All right.
There you
Until we
go.
get to taglines and then
Yep.
Now he knows what he's doing each and every week of his life. All right. Also joining us tonight is special guest host, returning guest host at that, Gregory Crosby. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well, although I'm very confused to see Chad again. I saw Chad 40 years ago, and he hasn't aged a day. I don't understand. Perhaps I'm thinking of Chad's father.
it was my father.
Very, very, very mysterious.
My father used to frequent this podcast.
Welcome back, Chad.
Thank you, Greg.
Good to see
Welcome
you.
back.
He also sounded like one of the Golden Girls. So
What? All right. We are here
You came here without me. I don't understand.
to talk about Daughters of Darkness from 1971. I'm excited to do this. It's a new film for me. So that's going to be a blast. What we're going to do is we're going to start off giving when did we first see it? What did we think about it? Does it hold today? All that good stuff. And we're going to get into a discussion about the film, likely talking about all the cast and all the wonderful people that built the film, that made the film. We could say built, right? Built, that's an official.
sure.
Yeah, sure. And then we'll have some feedback at the end of all this, right? Jeff, we got feedback?
Yeah, we do. And in fact,
All right.
I think there's a new category on IMDb, Film Builders.
Filmbuilders.com. Before we get into all that, I think, Jeff, you have something to say about Play Now Media.
Yes, we are partnering with Play Now Media. All of the Decades of Horror are. And Decades of Horror of the 1970s can be found on the Wicked Horror TV channel. And oh, shoot.
Oh, shoot, he says.
This might be an edit part here because I'm thinking,
And my head hurts.
yeah, I'm
Thought I saw
thinking, no. All right.
You're thinking no.
It's like a
I was
one-man
thinking this film
conversation.
might have been on Wicked Horror TV, and it still might be. I'm just not sure. I'll check it out as we go along. But anyway, they got lots of cool stuff, so check them
That
out.
boy
And
lives in his own head.
We're
Yes,
there.
yes.
There are so many connections firing in different directions. I got to reel them in.
That was like Al Pacino and Dick Tracy. I'm having a thought. There it comes. It's coming.
My.
I
It's
thought it was
gone.
out.
It's
coming
gone.
back in.
It's gone.
All right. Oh, Trainwreck 101, folks. This is what it looks like.
No, we love we love Play Now
woo.
Media, and
Woo woo. Did somebody do it too?
they have a great. I should actually finish the pitch here. The for a fee, monthly fee, you can get a subscription to the channel, see all of the stuff without any ads or anything, even without the
throwing his
fee.
whole game off.
If you
Systematic.
subscribed, even without the fee, if you subscribe, you can watch a lot of stuff with ads, including Decades of Horror, and but you won't get the premium content. That's all.
We'll get the premium. We'll get the premium.
But it's,
and yes,
good
I
stuff.
watched this film on Wicked Channel TV, by the way.
On Wicked Horror.
Wicked Horror TV. Yeah.
Okay, so yes,
Yes,
our
Wicked
today's pick is on the Wicked Horror TV.
Yeah. All right. As we get into all this nonsense, we want to remind you to hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click will help us find more horror fans just like you. Right?
That's the premise.
That's the premise.
Even
That's
though
the
all
idea.
of our fans are unique.
Stop it! Daughters of Darkness, 1971, directed by Harry Kümel. Or is it Kümel? Nobody knows. Written by
Kümel.
Kümel. Okay.
Kümel.
Pierre Drouot. This is going to be terrifying.
Mhm.
This is gonna be
Gene
great.
Ferry, Harry Kümel, Manfred R. Köhler, and Joseph Amiel. Why am I doing this?
I don't know.
Is that Amiel? So,
I think you're right.
Amiel is
train
fine.
wreck! Cast
Amiel.
includes Delphine.
Haas and
Seyrig.
Pfeffer Incorporated.
Yeah. Somebody come in and read these. Is it Umet?
We're gonna do
We met.
Andre Ray, Ro, John Carlin, Paul Esser, and George. I'm going to call you George Jamin. I don't ever want to do that again. Production company is a Belgian, French, German co-production. Show King Films, Brussels, Maya Films, Paris, Roxy Films, Munich, and Cinevogue Films, which is probably Cinevo, in Brussels. Filming locations is in Belgium. We'll leave that there. Filming dates were July 7th, 1970. At least that's where they started. And it was released on May 28th, 1971, New York City, September 22nd in San Francisco, October 22nd throughout the United States. It's also known as...
Oh, here we go.
The filming dates too, just to it was about a 6-week shoot.
Okay.
So
Wow, it's fast.
anyway, I found that out
And-
after I made this up.
Jeff, go ahead with the also known as.
Oh, sure. Anybody can pronounce French? Can go.
I can do an embarrassingly pass at a French accent.
Okay.
Oui.
Le Livre Rouge.
So there's like, I did find out there's like 2 different versions of this French title, and one is like red on the lips, and the other one is red lipstick translated. So
La Vestelle de Santana. That's easier.
Satan's
Satan's Vestals,
Satan's Vestals.
which are not nice women.
No,
Yeah.
creatures of the
Oh,
night.
So,
El Rojo en los Labios, the red on the lips.
Hmm.
House of Shame. What?
No,
that
okay.
was a
The
U.S. reissue
reissue.
title.
That's a
And of
shame.
course, I would definitely not deny Jeff the pleasure of doing the German title.
Blut on den Lippen.
There we go.
Blood on the lips.
And,
And solo für einen Vampir.
bravo.
Solo for a vampire.
Solo for a vampire. All right. The synopsis is: while passing through a vacation resort, a newlywed couple encounters a mysterious, striking, beautiful countess and her aide.
So basically,
That's
the
true
blood
as far as
spattered
it
bride.
goes. Yeah.
And Chad is having such a great time. Chad. All right. What we're going to do now
podcasting.
that we just going to share. When did we first see this? Who picked this movie? Who picked it?
That'd be me.
Bill Mulligan, you're up first.
I was inspired by Gregory Crosby, so you know. blame
Nice.
him.
He's up next. So prepare, sir.
Right. So I remember seeing the ads for this when I was a kid. And I have not been able to find those original ads, or I've completely misremembered them because the ones that I found did not match this. Whatever. It seemed pretty cool. And I just remember the one image that stuck in my head was the one of her with the cape, lifting up the cape. And that was pretty cool. And then years went by, and I think I saw every movie that the lead actress, whose name I keep mangling, was in. And boy, you know, when you're in college and you want to date girls and you want to give them the impression that you're deep and not just a guy who likes stop motion animation and stuff, you end up going to see stuff like Last Year at Marienbad, which I think lasted a year in Marienbad, and Mr. Freedom, which gave anti-Americanism a bad name, and the discreet charm of the bourgeois. I'm just like, what the hell? Can we please get some skeletons in here or something? It was like torture. But
Tomb of
you
the
know,
Blind Dead.
yeah, Tombs of the Blind Dead. And then I finally got to see this movie, and I was a little let down. Now, part of it is it was one of those things that it was not easy to find, and I ended up getting one of those gray market videos, which are always crap. And this is a movie that if you're going to appreciate it at all, you need to see a good copy, because it's elegant and it's well filmed, good color, and all those stuff. Take away the sizzle, and all you're left with is the steak, and there's not a whole lot there. That being said, this is a pretty classy, artsy horror film. That may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it deserves recognition, and it's got a great performance. It's got an absolutely terrific performance. Also, Andrea Yao is a cute little mitten hound. She is exactly pushing all my buttons. So yeah, that gets through a lot because she's cute as a button.
And she plays the aide.
Yes, the aide.
The aforementioned aide.
The secretary.
Right. The secretary. You'd be so lucky. So, okay, I don't know. Does it hold up? When I watched it again the first time in years, it was exactly the way I remembered it. Maybe a little, maybe not quite as slow as it seemed to me the first time I saw it, because now I went in kind of prepared for that this is not 30 Days of Night. This is a different kind of vampire movie. So you need to adjust your expectations. I'm told by people who would know better than I that this is a very Belgian movie.
What does that mean?
Well, I may disagree with that, but yeah, okay.
I mean, originally there were many scenes of muscles, which were later cut out for the American release. So that's why Belgium didn't come through. Is the muscles joke not landing at all?
No.
Waffles
would have worked.
Belgium, you're right. I should have gone waffles. I went with muscles
Specific
instead.
muscles.
Yes, Belgians are known for their muscles.
Really?
Yes.
And we're talking like the clams, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Not their muscles, but
yeah, because I never heard anyone like, oh God,
You're
watch out, here come the Belgians, we better run.
I thought you were talking about the.
Can we add? Can we in the edit? Can we
the
just
massage parlor I went into where the signage for the prices at the bottom was I forget how much it was. I think it was $60 to massage the muscle of your choice.
The muscle
Of your
All
choice,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the edit, Jeff, can you just swap out waffles for muscles?
Yeah, there you go.
No,
There you go.
no.
All right, Gregory. The camera's on you. When did you first see this? What was your first impression? Does it hold up today?
So, I am a longtime admirer of Delphine Seyrig. She is 3 iconic performances. One of which is Last Year at Marienbad, which is indeed still the champion European art house mindfuck of a movie. I've seen it several times, and it's still what, but brilliant. And Jean Delman, 1080 Bourgeois, right? The famous Chantal Akerman film, which I'll talk about in a moment, which I also saw recently. And this film, which for some reason, even though I feel as if I'd seen every sapphic vampire film of the 70s, I somehow had never seen Daughters of Darkness, even though I'd read about it in many a scholarly tome. Until a couple of years ago, I can't remember if I saw this at the Roxy Cinema here in New York or at the Metrograph, but I saw it on the big screen for the first time at last. And again, it was... Seyrig is rapturous. If you removed her from this film, there, as Bill pointed out, there goes the sizzle. She anchors the whole thing just brilliantly and beautifully. And watching it again a few days ago, and I watched it on Shudder. It's a very good copy on Shudder. As overwhelming as her performance was the first time, and as much as I enjoyed it, even with its little flaws here and there, which I'm sure we will point out and get to, this time watching it, I really appreciated the direction and the cinematography. I think Kümel did a really good job in throughout this in so many of the scenes. He did that wonderful. I think of this in my mind as the introduction to Frankenstein technique, where you just have 3 quick shots getting closer and closer with each
Mhm.
shot. He does that when the Baroness's car arrives at the hotel. He does that later on in the film a couple of times. I appreciated the use of color, like Bill mentioned. When she goes early on, she's like, the light hurts my eyes, and her secretary tosses that scarf over the lamp, and the whole room turns red, and then the entire frame turns red. And the use of color to underline things, and it is indeed an absolutely classy film. And I really appreciated all of the aspects beyond just Seyrig's performance, which is just marvelous. She's just perfect in this. This time around, watching it again a couple of days ago, I have the ending is not quite what it should be, and I feel like this is a common problem, especially with a lot of not just 70s horror films, but many horror films in general, where endings often feel very rushed. But that aside, it holds up beautifully, and it is a film where you just have to give yourself over to the atmosphere and to the visuals. And appreciate not so much there are no scares in the movie, but it is undeniably creepy. And the one thing I'll say before we move on is that this time around it occurred to me that it's perfect just how screwed up the newlywed couple is in this, because it really sets the stage for everything that happens with this seduction. I know Bill is not a fan of sexy vampires and romantic vampires, and that's fair. I mean, certainly after the Anne Rice / Twilight years of vampire stories, one could see where you'd want to have a lot of Reggie Nadlers, in vampire movies. But I will say that I've always appreciated that the vampire is the only sexy monster outside of maybe an incubus or a succubus. Controversial and I'm going to submit to you, this can be controversial, when as every single Hammer actress who played a vampire will now run through your minds when I say this.
Oh, they are pretty sexy, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that Delphine Seyrig is the sexiest vampire in cinema history. I know that's going to be controversial, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, that's a bold statement, Mr.
It's a bold statement, and I feel like a bold statement will serve us well in this discussion. Yeah. But I think it holds up great.
Holds up great. Great. Chad Hunt, sir, welcome back. One. And two, when did you first see this? What was your first impression? And does it hold up today?
I never heard of this movie. I just
never heard of it.
First time seeing it. Yeah.
Oh my.
And I have another bold statement. I hated this movie.
Chad is back. Chad is back. Beautiful.
Oh man.
Felt like a Bergman film, didn't it?
From the first 5 minutes of it, I was like, oh my God, here we go with this romantic vampire BS that I hate so much. And
brown chicken, brown cow.
I was so bored. I really was so bored. And maybe I didn't pick up on what the finer points of this film were, or I don't know. Maybe it's the mood I was in when I went in to see it. That I did like the lead actress. I did like her. She was good in her part. But the rest of it was just some aggravating bullshit. I just the lead guy, I could not stand him. I didn't understand his little rapey fit that he threw, and the beating with the belt, and there's a lot of stuff in there. It reminded me of sneaking up after my parents went to bed on Friday night and watching Skinamax a lot, and which I got in trouble for a lot. So maybe I'm projecting that onto this movie. But
you just felt inherently guilty.
Yeah. It hurts to watch. But yeah, it's not my kind of film, and it had good points and it had bad points, but mostly I was bored out of my frontal lobe.
Bored out of your frontal lobe, your entire frontal lobe. Oh my! All right, no, that's fair. Jeff Mohr, sir, you're up next. When did you first see this movie? What was your first impression, and does it hold up today?
Just a couple of weeks ago. I went and watched it after Gregory was talking about it. And I don't know that I've ever, and Bill was talking about it too. I don't believe I'd heard of it before. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is one of those movies too, where it's like, every shot is like a painting. And the fact that they found this hotel to shoot this in was phenomenal. You know, this
Beautiful
grand
hotel. Yeah.
staircase that they have scenes on, and Delphine Seyrig is I don't even know how to describe her. She had this. As I watched it, I'm like, wow, this is the first time I've actually seen a vampire manipulate people to do what she wanted without going.
Right.
It was purely through the force of personality, and I also like how it got, it stays pretty tame quite a ways, and then towards the end we start to get some bloody shenanigans going on. And even though they seemed really outrageously imagined kills, maybe, it still was so beautifully shot and so well done. And I'm not sure when Gregory says about the ending, I liked the first ending. The second ending felt a little like a stretch, but I did understand it. So I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought the acting, Danielle we met seemed a little bit out of her league at a couple of places, but I think they made it work. And John Carlin's a guy, he's just one of them guys you've seen on everything, Most of us, the latter times, were Cagney and Lacey, but he was also in Dark Shadows. So, and the movie's based on Dark Shadows, I believe. So anyway, I think I'll stop there, but I friggin' loved it. And I will say, the better picture you get, the better it looks. So yes, I did. I bought the Blu-ray, and not only is it a Blu-ray, but Blue Underground came out with a 4K Ultra HD.
Oh dear God!
That is the opposite of an embarrassing Bluray purchase, because this movie
that is an unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, the colors on that and those shots, and there's 3 different commentaries.
Oh wow!
One with the director, one with John Carlin and David Delval, and one with Kit Ellinger from Diabolique magazine, and then some interviews of Danielle Ouimet and Andrea Rao years after the fact that have some nice information in them. So that's just my pitch, that it's well worth it. Well worth it, I thought.
Well worth it, he says. So for me, I knew about this film, although I have always associated it with a different director. I thought this was, I won't say it, but Bill
I know what you're going to say.
We know who you thought.
So I guess I never realized it wasn't part of his.
You were going to say Jess Franco, were you?
No, not at all. But maybe I was. But
be a Jean Rollin, too.
It could.
Yeah.
It could be either of those.
Yeah.
But at least I knew about it. I knew what it was, and I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, but the lead character's name is Countess Elizabeth Báthory. Just because we've mentioned this when we covered some of Countess Dracula and some other films that based on this. But so if you weren't aware, that it's heavily influenced by that story. Although they mentioned the bathing, they do some blood sucking in here, so that was fun. Small spoilers, but who cares? Regardless, I hadn't seen it, so I got to see it, and it was insanely better than I thought it was going to be because of what I preconceived notions of it. The visuals are striking, like you said, but for Chad, the pacing is incredibly slow and sluggish. I mean, it is purposely so. It's not just poorly put together. It's meant to be that slow and examining what's going on, because there's the manipulation going on and it's supposed to be eerie and creepy. It doesn't achieve it, not necessarily in these days, but at the same time, it's such a beautiful film. And I would say, I don't think there's a bad performance in this. Even the one that you could say, like the retired policeman guy who's a little over the top, except for his falling off the bike stunt, which was
Still over the
hilarious.
top of the handlebars.
Yeah. Like the way when he comes up to the one guy and just leans over his shoulder and tells him all about the story, which leads into one of the things I liked about this movie the most is the placement of the actors.
Mm-hmm.
I really noticed how purposefully the actors were placed in and around each other. Especially toward the end.
The framing,
the framing, and especially toward the end when Valerie starts to convert over. You just where they stand and how the proximity tells a lot about what's going on. It's really fascinating. And there's like early on, there's a shot where Countess Báthory and is it Ilona come in and they're talking to the concierge of the hotel, and just the way they're framed, looking at the other people eating their dinner, is really fascinating. But yeah, this movie it's for newer audiences that want your action snappy to snap. This isn't going to do it. If you're wanting gory horror, it's not really going to do it. It really is kind of like A24 of 1971. It's one of those things. So I see why Jeff really loves this. It's kind of
you can put that in the artsy fartsy category.
It's an artsy. It's definitely an artsy.
I understand why Chad wasn't thrilled with it,
but I do too. I love the hair and makeup, which is strange for me to say because I don't think I've ever said that before. But wardrobe, I'm putting that in there as well. But like for Delphine's hairstyle, that's very the wavy tight hair on their head, and
I believe that's known as a Marcel wave.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then the pixie cut for Ilona. So it's just really fascinating in how it's shot and made. The story I'm not as big on, but how the filming I'm really impressed with. And we'll just leave that there.
Can I throw this out, because the first time I see this, it didn't really occur to me. I don't know why. But this time on the second viewing, did this movie remind anybody of The Hunger?
Oh, I was just going to say.
Oh my gosh, yes, very much so.
As good as Catherine Deneuve is, wouldn't it have been great if they could have gotten Delphine to be the vampire in The Hunger?
Well, I just feel like The Hunger is like that. This was the movie that who did The Hunger? Was that Tony Scott?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he saw this film a number of times.
Watched this movie many times before he made it.
The dinner scene that we were. Yeah, like that dinner scene that I was talking about earlier feels very. I actually thought of that when they're looking through the glass doors, right, and seeing them at the end of the table. It had that feeling to it. And then when they're having the conversation later, and Ilona comes in and stops at the door and waits to be introduced, there's a lot of that feeling to it. Just kind of ambiance. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, very strong this time. This viewing.
Well, as with most films, Jeff, we have taglines. Is there anything special that we'd like to do with taglines?
We do, actually. It's so nice to have Chad back after he's had all of his excess taglines removed during his hiatus and is now ready to be back for
purged all the taglines.
Taglines with Chad.
But that felt special. Thank you.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like Chad was like Chad was just full of arrows, but instead of arrows, there were taglines.
They felt like arrows. Every last one of them.
Yep.
And there's only 50.
A bunch of them. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're fun ones.
49. Just 49.
They're fun.
All right. Your taglines for Daughters of Darkness are as follows: an erotic nightmare of vampire lust.
Okay, fair enough.
That's about right.
The ice cold terror of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not terrorized.
What was that?
Meh.
Boy, if you think these ladies are something, wait till you meet the mother. She's something else. Boy, let me tell you.
She's something else. That was like the tagline guy watched the movie and was so traumatized by that scene he had to stick
know.
it in.
Yeah.
The blood of her innocent victims gives her eternal youth.
Oh, okay.
Standard.
Yep. A fairy tale for adults.
Well, that stinks.
Nice.
That's when you don't want anybody to know.
What exactly?
Yeah.
But Mom, they need the blood of beautiful ladies in order to remain forever young.
Forever young.
They hunger for your blood.
Oh, wait, you got to emphasize they capitalize blood. They hunger.
Blood.
They hunger for your blood.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
that's what
almost
my
said that-
granddaughter always said. They
that was almost-
drink your blood.
That was
It
almost
blood.
Kennedy-esque there, Chad. They hunger for your blood.
They
Yeah.
hunger for your blood.
Era.
These here
He's kidding.
your daughters of darkness, Dad, they are waiting for you. They thrive on your blood. They do.
They
Yeah.
do. Oh,
Did we know Chad could do such a good Kennedy? That was very
Oh,
impressive.
yeah.
Bravo.
And Chad didn't know when he got back he was going to actually get direction too from the
All right.
peanut gallery. So
Peanut gallery.
Taglines with Chad. Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Oh,
It's
how
a
I've missed
pleasure.
this, says Chad.
oh, I'm so glad to be back, he says.
While I was out, I was like, there's something that I'm not missing from doing podcast.
There's something I'm not missing. I can't even remember what it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, where do we go from here? Let's take a look at some posters, shall we?
Posters.
This is a nice one. Is that the one they released back in the day, or is this
That looks like an old 40s, retro
Yeah.
40s
Yeah.
poster. No way.
I'm
It
not a
looks
big
like a
fan of
Could be.
floating
It could
heads.
be. I mean, the early
Good
70s,
color.
there was that some callback to the 30s and 40s and a lot of graphic design. So that might be the original, or at least for the American release.
I don't know. For
I like
such a
the- I like
pretty
the razor
movie,
there.
this seems like a cheap poster. Like, they gave someone scissors and pictures and they just
Right.
cut them out and taped them on. And
Oh, I like the razor there with the blood.
I do like
and
the
red
razor with the
letters,
blood.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Uh,
See, that's pretty.
That
I
looks
like the
like
other one.
that
I
looks
like
like
the
a-
other one better.
that's got to be
Yeah.
a VHS cover, right?
Yeah.
That screams VHS cover.
Well, there
Yeah,
there
there's
was
no actor credit.
Yeah.
well,
on
there was
or anything.
also this. They used the same one in a movie poster, but it was like French or Belgian or something. So I want one with the actual title. But yeah, this was used for posters too.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Because look, they put some money into this. Somebody
nice
actually
art,
painted. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And then we have this one, which may be my favorite, actually, for weird reasons. Anybody else?
Well,
Yeah.
as Jeff pointed out, it's the French title and the Dutch title. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Both on the poster, covering all
What's
bases.
going on up there at the top?
Why is a train up there?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember that scene.
Remember at the very beginning of the movie, there's a
Yeah.
train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were on the train. The couple was on the train.
Yeah.
At the very beginning.
Oh, I see. Oh.
Oh, is that what it's supposed to signify? That the train leaves without them? Okay.
I don't know.
It's a mystery. It's evocative, and remember, the point is to make the poster evocative, not necessarily truthful.
Yeah.
All right. So
Defending Hollywood advertising. That is-
yes, I don't know why, but you do that. I just want to. Whoops, that's weird. I want to bring up something. We talked about the ending before we get into all the actors and stuff. I want to talk about the ending of this movie
Mhm.
because this is one of those films that has a downbeat 70s ending,
Oh, yeah.
and then it does something a little different because it starts like these after credit kind of things. It kind of does a coda at the end,
Yeah.
which undoes some of the stuff. But anyway, I love the ending. I love both endings. I love how bleak the ending is. I love that she goes through the windshield and she's on the tree, and that the car blows up, and because it was a great effect when the car blew up, because it wasn't so Hollywood, right? It was more like something blew up and
Yeah, and
that's
pieces
it.
flew.
Yeah, and that's it. It's not like these crazy 5 shots of the car blowing up from all around different things. And
Tom Cruise running in front of the
yeah. And
Slow
then
motion.
the ending was okay, whatever. But what sold me on it was at the very end, Valerie does the same thing that Báthory did with the cape. She puts the cape up with the two as they go way off into the distance. And I love that callback. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Did you notice the voice?
I did not.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I'm
Seyrig
pretty sure that
voice,
was
wasn't
Delphine Seyrig.
It was her voice.
Yeah, that was her voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the significance of that? So
The intimation that somehow through supernatural agency or simply metaphorically, the Countess lives on.
Yeah.
So
that she is now Valerie.
yeah.
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
I
she
guess-
learned her lesson and wears seatbelts from now on, but it's basically she's still
No, not for about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Not in that car, I don't think.
No, not that car.
No.
It was a beautiful car though.
I was.
they-
It
Car.
was
But
impressive.
they found another one to blow up somehow.
I
that's
thought I
why-
loved the visual of her on that branch too.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
it was
yeah.
great. It was great.
Good, yeah.
Even
And
Chad.
the
Look at
hand
Chad.
burning up.
It
too.
was
Yeah.
that was a striking image. I'll
Yeah.
admit. Yeah.
Oh, Chad was just happy to see that because, like, well, this movie must be almost over.
That's it. Yeah.
Little did I know there's another ending.
You got 10 more minutes coming.
What is this?
Not
Return of the
quite that
King?
long. Nothing gets it's that's as many endings as Return of the King.
So
All
what
right.
didn't you like about that other ending, Gregory?
Oh, well,
The final.
I think my objection was it just for a film that has been paced so carefully that when it sort of switches into the sort of the frenzy of the last, driving, trying to outrun the sun and the whole sort of thing, it just felt it's one of those things where there's in the editing and the images are fine, but in the editing it just felt like there was a tone shift that I would have preferred a more sort of drawn out kind of ending. If this making
You mean the
I'm probably not-
accident?
Yeah, I'm probably not making any
Oh,
sense, but you know what I mean. There was just it suddenly felt like, okay, we got to wrap this up. Boom, 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 right?
It felt
And then
tacked on and
Coda,
rushed.
Coda is great, but I kind of wanted there to be a more of a transition from her death into the Coda.
Right.
I think it was just more of a tone shift. That I was kind of like, that doesn't feel like that was, because Kümel had it seemed to me throughout the movie had handled everything so well that suddenly at the end it was that thing where it's like, okay, we got to have a big finish, and we're going to now make this into a
Well, I thought
into a sort of insert into those, that sort of thing. It felt rushed, and if there's one thing that this movie
is not as rushed.
is rushed.
no, but I felt.
But for me, that
I
was the
felt
one
like-
sort of thing that kind
Well,
of
it had agency and urgency to it. So
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
they
I
had
felt like they're going faster. We have to beat the day or something
Yeah.
like that, or
Yeah.
we're racing the day. And I thought I sort of, that's what to me pushed it into that frantic zone as opposed
Yeah.
to the lane.
because they took too long. They took too long.
But the Coda is great. The Coda
They were going
is-
too slow.
The Coda. I mean, the Coda is the Coda works great, especially with that callback, and then with hearing the Countess's voice in that last shot. Yeah.
I don't think we have any pictures of the director, do we? So
We do not.
So Harry Kümel,
Mm-hmm.
how do you like that? Directed this. Is anybody familiar with this director? Wants to say anything about it?
I don't think I've seen anything else he's done.
I don't think he directed anything but TV after this.
That's
Maybe one movie.
Well, now, wasn't there a bit of a controversy on how he was treating the actors, that he got physical with at least one of the women?
So in the
Yes.
extras, it was nice because this story was told from like 2 different directions, actually 3. The director avoided talking about it, but sort of talked about his frustrations with Danielle, the blonde, and Carlin. For some reason, I feel like I brain farted his name here.
John Carlin.
John Carlin. he said that she ran up to the dressing room and was in tears. And he came in there and she said that he hit her. And so he ran downstairs and had a big fight with him and supposedly punched the director. And that things after that were a little tense.
You think?
But
Yeah.
he also said it was about 80% done. Now, Danielle's version of the story was that she was frustrated with the director because she felt like, I think I kind of understand this. So help me out, you guys that have actually been in productions, but she wanted the director to just tell her what to do. And she felt like he kept changing what he was telling her. And I'm kind of assuming he was changing what he was telling her because he wasn't getting what he wanted. She thought he was changing what he wanted. And I think that at some point I don't know why he slapped her, but he slapped her. And she ran up to her dressing room and was fixing her makeup. And he, again, same thing. Carlin heard her crying and went down and she goes, I think he punched him. She wasn't there to see it. And so all you hear is stories. But yeah, so we've heard, I'm not saying it's okay, but God, we've heard a lot of stories about directors slapping.
Oh,
yeah.
Actors.
Apparently Kümel is still alive. He's 84 years old.
Wow.
So if anybody's got his number, we could just like call him up right now.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, what's the deal, Harry?
Hey, dude, wake up. Let's party.
Well, he did this one. And
Is that what
then
you said, this party?
I haven't seen any of his other films either. That now I'm looking at his.
Now I'm seeing other movies. I heard somebody else say he didn't do any other movies.
Well, he did a movie called The Legend of Doomhouse, 1971, and the starring actor is Orson Welles.
Oh, okay. He talked about that. Yeah. He was really excited about that, but
There's a few things, but
wasn't really happy with how it came out.
But again, it's one of those situations where if he made nothing else,
right?
Yeah,
this is a perfect legacy.
Well, and you can see
in terms of the way it's made. Yeah.
One of the things that they were going for, both he and the producer, who was a co-writer, and he, and I don't know if they told Delphine Seyrig this or if she figured it out on her own. They were really going after Marlene Dietrich.
Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah,
that's pretty.
And she even came in and talked about some scene in Angel from way back when, and he was a big fan of Joseph von Sternberg.
Yeah.
So which pairs right up with Marlene Dietrich. So
yeah, she could have some of those costumes. She could have stepped out of Shanghai Express. The way that she was shot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. We did have another poster that and that's this one, which I'm not really sure where that came from because that seems very dark and graphic.
That's not a great poster.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So we'll just push that one away.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into all the actors, I do want to talk about the character of Stefan. Because I'm very confused about his character, and I'm confused about his past, and I'm confused about the guy he calls up that he's trying, I guess, to talk to his mom, but he talks to somebody else, and I'm like, okay,
no, that's mom.
Oh no, that's mom.
That was mom.
That was
mom.
Mother. Yes.
Okay, so I'm even.
Are you not confused anymore?
I'm more confused than I was before. Okay, so somebody enlighten me.
I'm sure Chad
on the
gets
whole thing.
What is it?
Like,
apparently, at some point, he's bisexual, maybe, and he's had a relationship with this guy for a while. And
he's a kept man.
Yeah, and now he's reticent.
Stefan's a kept man.
Yes. He's reticent to take her home to meet.
And Mother is his keeper.
Yes. Yeah. And it's clearly that Danielle is on some level him trying to carve out some kind of autonomy or space or freedom from Mother, from this relationship, which is interesting because of course he knows it's right there in the very first scene when they're still on the train, and it's made clear that Mother's not, your mother's an aristocrat, not going to approve of me, and it's clear that he is on some level he has married her as some kind of complicated psychosexual fuck you to that relationship, which he clearly is not really trying to break free from.
No, he's bringing her. What's going to happen to this?
Yeah, exactly. So as I mentioned earlier, part of what if the newlyweds in this movie had been absolutely blameless innocents, right? Like if they've been American tourists, right, stuck in Austin or something, I don't think the movie would be nearly as disturbing or creepy or interesting if it was a straightforward, oh no, they've stumbled upon this evil vampire who's going to seduce them and destroy them. I think it's a lot more interesting that they are already in a really weird, strange. It's one of those things where you're introduced to a newlywed couple, and within 5 minutes, you're like, "This marriage is doomed." And then you just begin to see the ways in which it's doomed, including when Alona comes down for the first time, and the way he stands up and is just staring at Alona when she walks into the room, like he apparently is more or less resisting the Countess' charms. But the minute Alona comes in, it's like, oh, hello, and there's those long shots, and you're just like, oh wow, this guy is just this is not
definitely some self-loathing going on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, self-loathing and but also combined with a lot of horniness and
not great husband material.
Not husband material on any level at all.
And abusive and
he's awful. And so that, I think, then for the viewer, you kind of want the Countess to seduce his wife away, because frankly, eternal life as a vampire is probably preferable to whatever is going to happen in this marriage without that, because he's just, and I think that
she's
that adds a lot of
her current life anyway, right?
Yeah. I think that adds a friction to the film that I don't think it would have if it was a straightforward, oh no, lovely newlywed, couple being seduced by a vampire.
But that is one of the problems, is that I'm not really sure who to root for here. The closest thing to a sympathetic character is Valerie, but she's just kind of bland, especially surrounded by these others that are more interesting but awful.
Oh, you mean you weren't rooting for the Countess to just go on forever and be gorgeous and then have show up like Pierre's son or Pierre's children? I hear you were here. Wait, you stay at this hotel 80 years?
Look, she's very attractive and cool and everything, but call me an old-fashioned fuddy-duddy, but I can't get away from the fact that she's also apparently murdering young girls.
Yes,
so she's got that going against. There's always that catch.
There's always that catch. Yeah.
I sort of felt sorry for Ilona. That's who I sympathized with. Oh well.
Oh, and that's why I think that's part of the reason why I suddenly was so resonant with The Hunger in my mind, because suddenly I was picturing David Bowie in those scenes early in The Hunger where he's like, "No, you've been kicked to the curb, and now you are doomed." That moment early on where Ilona says, "I wish I could die." Right? All those great bits of dialogue where you, as the viewer of a horror movie, because you know what the situation is, they are even more sort of weirdly resonant. I felt sorry
that line, "Only the dead bury the dead," has so much kind of resonance to it, because she's helping them bury Ilona, but actually Carlin's really doing or Stefan's doing all the work. He's going to be dead soon. He also had some he was kind of obsessed with murder or death. The way he hovered over that, got so obsessed with that murder when they went to the other city to check it out.
It was more than an obsession. It was more like a sexual
it was something very, it really exposed,
and his wife sees
how sideways his brain is because of the way he acts. He pushes her. Doesn't he push her away?
He backhand her and she falls in the foot of the car.
Right. And then we get introduced to that crazy cop too.
Chester the molester comes up behind him and whispers.
Hey, now, and can I just say what a relief it is when you realize, when he comes back and you realize, oh, he's a police officer. Because otherwise, if that had just been some guy explaining the murders over his shoulder, you would have that whole time in that scene, the first time you see it, you're thinking, what is wrong with the Belgians?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, man.
Why is this?
was
Why on earth is this guy just suddenly sidling up and sort of whispering over his shoulder, like,
Wow,
"Oh,
what a
when
strange
he
way to give us
hamburger?"
exposition, right?
Yeah.
Sir, this is a Wendy's drive-through. Please tell me what you
like
want.
he's describing cake to a fat kid.
It would be
Oh,
like,
God.
it's like you know, it's like how do we do exposition? Well, let's look at like a David Lynch movie where just some random person comes up and tells you horrible things over your shoulder, you know.
Mhm.
So
These
But
are
it was-
people always
but
sit
again-
next to on a bus.
yeah,
Again, when they do that, the position of him and the way is so important to that scene
Yeah.
to make it resonate the way it does. Chad
and
didn't catch
to make it creepy.
that.
Really, it's super creepy.
Subconscious.
It is very well, very much so. All right, well, let's take a look at.
Well, one last thing about
Okay, one last
Carlin
thing.
in that scene too is he Stefan, when he beats her, that kind of fits into that whole thing. You know, he's obsessed with death. He's I forget. You had a great description of what he was doing, some kind of weird psychosexual rebellion, but
Yeah.
violence fits into there, and he's fighting himself, so he's easily explodes. I guess might be the thing. And plus, he's resenting what the hell he sees what Delphine or what the Countess is trying to do. But that was a nasty scene.
Yeah, he just goes like that throughout.
He starts
the film.
wailing on her with the belt.
Yeah.
Oh, that I did not like that. That made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Really
She
did.
said he
and-
was
and it was supposed
trying
to,
to miss her. He was trying
Yes.
to hit the pillow, but
Mhm.
he hit her. He missed the pillow sometimes, and she said,
Oh, you mean when they were filming it?
"Yeah."
Oh no. All right, well let's talk about and I'll let Gregory take this over. Tell us about Delphine.
Oh, what can you say about a problem like that?
I know you got
Yeah.
5 minutes. Go.
All right, I will. We mentioned last year at Marion Bad. There's this, and she is perfect in this, and it's not just the fact that the hair and the makeup and the costuming is so spot on and so well done. That's a big part of it, obviously. And as many actors, when you look at interviews with actors, they will how often they'll say, "Oh, it was the costume." The minute I got into that costume, the minute I got into those clothes or makeup, I was there. I was that character, right? Her performance is just perfect in this. Just in the early scenes where she's just sort of talking to Pierre, you know, and the way she says things like, "Oh, really? oh, the penthouse suite, isn't it? Oh, who, right?" She's marvelous. She's also brilliant in the 1975 film Jean Dielman, 1080 Bruegel, which is directed by Chantal Akerman. Fun fact, the Sight and Sound poll, which for those people who are not familiar with, every 10 years, the Sight and Sound poll happens where they poll a lot of filmmakers and critics and people within the film world. What's the greatest movies of all time? So for 40 years, the number one vote getter was Citizen Kane. And then in 2012, Vertigo took the first place. And then in 2022, Jean Dielman, Chantal Akerman's film, took the top spot. And everyone was sort of shocked. They shouldn't have been, because why did that dethrone Vertigo, which came in at number 2? Well, because they opened up the pool of voting. They made it much more diverse and inclusive. And the minute you do that, you get a different result when you're sort of like doing that kind of consensus canon, where we're just going to ask a lot of different people. And by the votes, we're going to see what the ranking is, which is probably the only way to make a real canon. You know, weren't you at a recent convention, Bill, where they did like an 80s vote, greatest 80s, and like the Thing came out on top? And you're like, well, yeah, of course, but also, but that's also consensus. That's not just a bunch of critics sitting around.
But I gotta
that's the
say,
greatest, 80s horror film, right?
I gotta say that film, and even though you've said it like 3 times now, I can't remember it. I doubt that one person out of 500 has ever heard of that film. So when they opened it up to film critics who are, because if they opened it up to the public, it'd be Avatar too.
It's not just film critics. It's like filmmakers. So filmmakers, a lot of filmmakers and various people within
industry. They're in the industry, right?
Yeah,
she was also
in the industry. But the point
Delphine Seyrig was very well known in France. I mean,
she's very well known. She's a great actress, but her
power.
I just want to throw this out as. So this is now considered, according to Sight and Sound poll, the greatest film of all time. So I barely heard of it. Even being a mock cinephile like I am. So I went and saw it because, of course, the minute it was voted, one of the theaters here in New York City, ran it. Okay, I'm not recommending it, especially not to Chad.
Oh no.
Okay, because it is a 3-hour movie, and it is the slowest of slow burns ever created. It is a slow burn. It is a slow burn. It is a slow burn that has been sunk deep into molasses, and then
Poured
buried in the
uphill in
Marianas
January.
Trench. Right. I will say, however, that when the explosion comes, it's amazing, and she's amazing in it. But it is, for anybody watching this podcast who's like, "Oh, I'm going to watch this movie," it's a very, 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 very slow burn. And of course, as with this movie, that's the point of the movie. When it finally explodes, it's amazing. It's amazing. She's amazing. But those of you who are thinking like, "Oh yeah, Delphine Seyrig, she looks gorgeous. I'm going to track down all of her movies." Fans, be prepared. If you dial up Jean Dielman, 1080 Bruegel, you are be prepared. Go to the bathroom first,
and don't go into watching that film thinking, "Wow,
Well,
this is the greatest film that has ever been made," because a bunch of people said so. Because you will be disappointed. I think.
Absolutely, but
it's-
that's the thing about it, is that it's a great film. I was glad when I finally saw it. I don't know. Do I agree? No, but hey, how great that happened, because otherwise I may not have seen it.
True.
So I may have never gotten around to checking it out, and I'm glad I did. But
It is currently playing on Max and the Criterion channel.
Yeah,
there you go.
And the thing of it is, of course, again, what's the thing that makes the movie, this 3-hour slow burn movie, work? Delphine Seyrig. She's an amazing, amazing actress, and she's just. I mean, look at these.
She has a presence, right? I mean, there's an undeniable presence.
Absolutely, she's got that it factor that.
Did everybody notice in the top one where she's got the what looks like a grasshopper?
Yeah,
that they pour into
that she brings it up initially and is like holding it, and then puts it back down. Classic sort of vampire.
She
sort
never
of,
drinks.
I'm not going to actually drink this. Right? Nice.
They're not gonna. They don't want that green stuff on her lips. And
no,
besides,
not
she's a
at all.
vampire, right?
Yeah.
Christmassy.
Anyway, amazing actor.
Yeah, and she embodies when you think of a baroness, right? She looks like that, right? I mean, she carries herself with a regal attitude. She looks like upper hierarchy and all that, and she definitely fills the role with just physical and physical presence, and like the hair, the makeup, the costuming, and her performance.
They had a special hairstylist for her and a wardrobe person for her. They were stunned that they got her to do this film, and afterwards they're like, this would not have worked without her.
I think that's true. I think without her, this would just be an arty European 70s, vampire.
Well, I do have to ask Bill though, if you want a Countess Báthory, I called her a baroness earlier, but a Countess Báthory, do you want Delphine or do you want
Ingrid Pitt?
Oh, Doc, how can you? What is this Sophie's Choice action? That
it is a Sophie's Choice, isn't it?
Why don't you just ask me who my favorite cat is, okay?
I just wanted to see.
Question.
I wanted to see how fast or how slow it takes you to decide if you can.
Just to throw something else in, since you brought up Ingrid Pitt, when we did Countess Dracula, she had done an interview where she complained about how they couldn't really do the story of Countess Báthory justice because they couldn't put that amount of depravity on the screen. But in this one, they describe it in detail,
right?
And it is nauseating. It's
when they go off and
and that's a creepy scene
when
too.
He's leaning, she's leaning over Carl and rubbing.
And can I point out that this is the same year as Countess Dracula?
That's right.
And
because they knew how to deal with it, they couldn't have shown it. Neither one of them could show it.
But think about this for a minute. This is when Hammer's beginning its downhill slide, and you could make a case that the sort of failure of imagination on the part of the makers of Countess Dracula to sort of include that in the way that this film does without it being you know, showing the full
Mhm,
depravity,
mhm.
is just one of those indications of like, this is how you do that. This thing that you felt like, oh, well, we can't. Yeah, it might be 1971, and it's tits galore on screens around the world,
Yeah.
but there's certain things that we're not yet going to, especially a studio like Hammer. You know,
I would have liked to have seen Countess Dracula made with the kind of craftsmanship that went into this one.
yeah,
Because I like the story, and there's not a lot of story here. Countess Dracula wasn't a great story, but at least there was story.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
This one's all
is
about
pretty to look like.
slow manipulation
Yeah.
of relationships, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
No, this is you know, and Counter Strike is just a different movie set in a completely
Sure.
different time. So it's unfair, Doc. That's
Yeah,
an unfair
Doc.
comparison to try to get
Shame
Bill,
on you.
try to get, you know.
I don't
Put
know.
me
It
on
led
the
to
spot.
5 minutes of great conversation. Let's move on to Valerie.
Valerie.
Valerie, you gonna sing the song? I knew you would. Played by Danielle. Am I saying that? Umet? Is that how you say her name?
We met.
We met.
We
We
like
met.
the French,
We
yes,
met.
I think.
Yes, I see
French
it now.
Canadian. French
Yeah.
Canadian.
see it.
Mangled
met. So
every
have
name
we?
tonight.
Well, you know, I try. It looks like they fit right in, though. I like how these three. Looks like we're doing what Brady Bunch or something. Anyway, so let's talk
Well,
about
it's
her.
weird because they're all from different countries, so you can't use the same pronunciation thought. With them.
There you go.
What's her name? Andrea Rao is German.
So I'm just going to start off. I don't know much about this actress, but I thought she brought such a different, you know, she's innocent, but yet she isn't because she knows what's going on with her and her husband. And it's a very complex role. And her, her long, straight blonde hair, very kind of late 60s Hollywood hair. If you let me have that, you know who I'm talking about. If you know who I'm talking, yeah, Jan Brady. I was thinking something else, but we'll go with that. I don't know. I thought
weren't you thinking of Marsha?
Marsha.
I wasn't thinking of Marsha. I wasn't thinking of TV at all, but that's okay. We'll just move on. I just want to say that I really liked her in this role. And it was especially toward the end when you could see that she was being, that the seduction was coming through. And I don't think she minded it. I think she was all on board. It wasn't like it wasn't like she was being pulled very hard into that.
You kind of knew she knew how screwed up her relationship is.
Yeah.
And
see, that's the thing. I don't know if she's so much being seduced by Báthory as she's just realizing her husband is awful. Yeah. I think at that point, anyone could have picked her up.
Because aren't they trying to seduce both of them at the beginning? I mean, that's the idea, right? Is seduce both of them. But are they doing it to feed, or are they doing it for some other reason?
It's not really made clear, is it?
Yeah. Well, they need beautiful young women. So anything they're doing to Stefan is by way of getting to Valerie, I would think.
He's just a conduit. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
He's just a thing to get to her.
I do like.
I got to get him out of the way. You know.
Yeah. Look at that top picture, though. When I'm watching this, it just occurred to me that scene at the top is kind of like a gender inversion. I mean, she's like the guy reading the paper with the glasses on while he's daintily sipping tea in a low-cut blouse. I mean,
in an extremely short bathrobe.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Stop. Yes. That was so funny. But
interestingly, she was in her first film was a movie called Valerie.
In
Quebec. Apparently, it was a well-known erotic film in Quebec, a seminal Quebec erotic film about a curious girl who leaves her convent to explore the Montreal hippie scene.
Oh, that old
chestnut. Becomes a prostitute and meets her true love who doesn't know she's a hooker.
But he finds out before the end, though. Those movies are always depressing.
From nun to hooker in one swift scene.
Yeah.
Until the monkeys show up and save her.
This was her sixth entry in her sixth credit. The other, couple of TV series.
She can, I was going to say she doesn't convey innocence. She conveys a certain naivete, maybe.
Naive.
A certain unworldliness, but at the same time, she's smart. She's aware of what's going on. She's not, she's not a pushover by any means. She keeps, bugging her brand new husband. Like,
Well, she
"Wow,
comes
you're
off as
a
kind of
mother."
clueless, but she has a lot
Yeah.
of blank stares of
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Mhm.
But
and
she
kind of
kinda-
lets Stefan do what he wants until the Countess
yeah.
starts to question her. you
And
know.
Well, after she got beat with the belt, her first question was, "Did he not like the way I scrambled his eggs this morning?"
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Well, she was going to. Okay, so it should be fair that she knew to get the hell out of there, and she made it to the train station until she got stopped. But
Yeah,
which
she
I thought,
does.
which I'm glad that they did that, because especially for that era, that's a bold move.
The second
don't-
person in this movie to pack their bags and try to leave that gets stopped by the Countess. right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But Sharon Tate is the actress I was referring to earlier.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know if you guys see it or not,
Oh,
Sure,
but
absolutely.
maybe it's just my
yeah.
Quentin Tarantino obsession with the Hollywood movie. Anyway, we'll move on, shall we? Let's before we get to Stefan, let's do Alana, because
Mhm.
there you go. When she's outside that window peeking in, what a great shots that those are, and she is so. There's a
Not to brag or anything, but that bottom shot, my wife owns that dress.
Oh wow.
Really?
Just,
oh nice,
Well, that's worth bragging about, dude.
just gonna throw that out there. Yeah.
nice.
No, she's great. She's really.
Yeah.
I did we? I don't think I looked up and saw what else she might have done. Does she have some interesting credits, Jeff?
Well,
Oh God.
Well,
Yes.
she started okay after this, but she had her first part of her career was a model, and then she did some softcore porn.
Oh,
And that's I don't know, somehow or another how she got referred to him. In fact, that's where somebody took the director to see her in one of those movies at an art house theater.
oh, all right.
No,
pardon me while I do some googling over.
Well, there's Beyond Erotica.
Yeah. Well, that was
And-
later. Yeah, she still.
Yeah. But okay, so Sexy Susan Knows How, that's one of them. Naughty Roommates, and here's my favorite title possibly of all time, The Viking Who Became a Bigamist.
What?
That's right
Please-
up there. That's for sure.
Please
Yeah.
tell me there's a Blu-ray available.
Oh,
and what's the
I can
sequel?
only hope.
Well, there's also one called that I translated because I was trying to figure out what it meant, and I can't find the title right this second, but it was when you translated it was "Come to Vienna and I'll show you something."
Oh my!
Oh wow.
Oh my!
The canals?
Oh my!
But she is one of the most erotic looking actresses I've ever seen. In that, she said the director Kümel told her to act like a spider, sitting quietly waiting for her prey. That was sort of her. So all that, whatever she's doing, like all that weird stuff she's doing outside the window, apparently, I don't know. I don't know what the hell she was doing, but that's a cool shot. That is a really cool shot.
And I do, I always love when vampires die in really stupid ways. So she's one of the ones, the whole running water thing, which always.
Oh my God, that was. I was so fascinated by that. He just wants to get her into the shower to get busy, and she's like, "No, running water."
And of course, she doesn't really care what the woman wants, right?
Right. Yeah.
But so she dies by the blade, right?
But they tell her.
But how does she die?
There's a part earlier where they talk.
Well, I know she fell on it, but why did that kill her?
Well, you see, I don't know that she's a vampire. You feel she's like that poor character that all vampires have. This person that they dick along with for years and years. Yeah, I'll make you immortal any day now. And then one day they wake up. It's like, oh damn! Now I'm like 73 years old. I don't want to be immortal forever, looking like this.
like poor Guillermo on
Guillermo. That's
exactly
his name.
Yeah, it's not really made clear. She's clearly.
I was thinking let the right one in, but yeah.
I mean, it's clear that she is a familiar, and that maybe she's part vampire, but not a full vampire. Whatever it is, she, early on, the Countess says, "You couldn't live without me," and then she's like, "You call this life? You call this living?" which again just sounds like an unhappy couple.
But she does
If
try
you
to
don't
leave.
know that they're vampires, right?
She does try to leave, though.
Yeah, she does, and you have to. I kind of like the fact that it's not made clear. Sometimes with vampire films, there's this tendency we have, especially monster kids such as we have to want to have. Okay, what exactly are the rules?
You gotta have rules.
In what part? What part of the vampire mythos are you obeying in this fiction, and what part are you tossing by the wayside? Right. And sometimes it's fun just to be like, we're not going to explain.
Well,
so did
the full details of exactly how this is working.
Yeah.
Earlier in this, I forget what the conversation is, but earlier in this, someone says the way to kill a vampire is wooden stakes, fire, running water, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost obligatory. You have to have somebody say that.
Yeah. So she's afraid of the shower, and then later on, the Countess gets pierced by the wood branch and then burned. Slightly, not like one's enough. We got to have two.
Anne was afraid of the sunlight, so
yeah. Oh, and the sun. Yeah, we had the sun too. Yeah.
She just got tripled down on that.
Yeah.
All right, but the whole pixie look is perfect for this character and defining her role as well. The look supports the role. So
she in fact kept a similar look most of the rest of her life. Her hair was
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Sort of the manic pixie dream girl without the manic.
Right.
All right. So here's Stefan, who is now the
he's the one without belt marks.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Who is
brutal.
Just the worst character.
He's the worst.
I mean, he is such a and
you suck, Stefan.
Yes, but that second shot in the scene where Báthory is like hanging all over him, and they're recounting the past of the rumors, right? Is such an interesting shot that he is totally into what's happening there, and Valerie is screaming stop, but it's not that she's touching him; she just wants them to shut up.
Yeah, it's awful.
Which I found interesting, right? Because she wasn't offended by the gropiness of that, but she just like, shut up. This is terrible story.
Yeah. She kidnapped young girls and kept them chained, hung them up by the wrist and whipped them until their tortured flesh was torn to shreds, and they clipped her fingers with shears, pricked their bodies with needles, tore out their nipples with silver pincers. It's like, wow. And then every time she says stop, they tell another.
I know, they just keep going and get more and more.
Well, of course, the marvelous thing is that you expect at the end of it for the Countess go. I mean, at least that's what I've been told.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know myself.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She owns it, right? She just.
Those are the legends.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So what do we think of John Carlin's performance here?
Well, we hate him, so he does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's one thing I shared earlier that I totally misread the entire mother thing. We'll get into that here in a second. But I also thought that he kind of knew what was going on. I felt that he knew or suspected that she was actually Báthory.
Well, but if you're the kind of person that he is, who clearly has these issues, that's the kind of thing that if you have that, you're not going to come right out and sort of, you know what I mean? You're not going to come right out and say, "Oh, are you an immortal vampire who drinks the blood of young girls to stay?" He's kind of be like, "Oh, well, let's see where this goes.
Yep.
Let's see where this might."
I think
Well,
he
at
might
the
have
end, he
believed
does
that
tell
she
her,
was
"We're
a
getting out
freak.
of here. We're getting away from her."
Yeah.
But that's too late.
Eventually, but before that, it's very much fascination.
Well, that's perfect, Doc.
Fascination.
She even says that. He says we're getting out of here, away from her, and Valerie says it's too late, and then Delphine walks in with that. I think that's when she walks in with that gorgeous sequin gown. Is that?
Yeah, it's hypnotized
with the light sparkling off it and everything. My God.
Yeah. And there's the third shot there, of course, is him in his itsy bitsy teeny weeny
1971 bikini.
Yeah. But okay, so
and they're sucking his wrist.
I was gonna say, is this the only scene that kind of goes with the concept of vampirism? Because everywhere else it's implied, but here they are actually committing the act, right? Am I right?
Well, they're drinking blood.
Right. I mean, there's no fangs, and I think a lot of horror fans are gonna.
Yeah, there's that one shot where she kisses Valerie, and then there's just a little
drop of blood. Yeah.
I saw that. Yes,
wasn't that good?
Nips her on the lip or something.
Yeah. Yes, this would be the opposite of, say, Twins of Evil. Fangs.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Yes,
and it would have looked.
You either go for Twins of Evil fangs, or you go for these might be like the glow in the dark ones you used to get as a kid for Halloween and pop in, or you go no fangs and it's all implied.
Right,
the plastic ones. Yeah.
So, Chad, did that work for you at all? Because I know that you found this movie boring, but did you like that aspect of it at least?
The no fangs?
Yes.
Yeah, I have no problem with vampires that have no fangs. Near Dark is one of my favorite vampire movies ever, and they never showed fangs in there, and that's just it's more brutal without fangs, to be honest with you. So,
absolutely,
especially if you have like the Count Yorga ones that are so big that you couldn't actually. Eat anything, much less bite someone.
But yet, there's something about that. A mouthful of fangs is even better, right?
Yeah. So, well,
was the girl from Fright Night?
Right. Oh well, yeah. If you're gonna
go. I'm going to turn to you, Bill, to tell us what else did Mr. John Carlin?
He was on Cagney and Lacey as Cagney's husband, right? Or was it Lacey?
Lacey.
No, he was Harvey Lacey.
Lacey.
Yep.
Dang it. I can never keep straight.
50-50.
And he was just a guy. He played like a regular guy. Look, literally, the actor at that point, he looked like they went down the street and found the first guy waiting for a bus and brought him out there. So he fit perfectly in that role, and he was quite likable in it.
Yeah. I didn't know until I read the show notes that Malcolm McDowell turned that role down. And so the minute you read something like that, you begin to replay certain scenes.
Oh yeah,
with Malcolm McDowell.
So Malcolm McDowell turned down this role here.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. I mean, if she wanted him, but he was too busy, being Alex in A Clockwork Orange. Wise move, Malcolm.
Good choice.
Good choice. It's very. He could. I've no doubt Malcolm McDowell could have done this role, and it could have helped nicely. But I'm kind of glad he's not in it. There's something about John Carlson who he didn't
look immediately scary. Whereas Malcolm McDowell is like, I mean, I love the film and I love the performance, but Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Right.
This is not the story of a normal guy who goes crazy. It's a story of a crazy guy who goes crazier.
Right. Yeah. McDowell from the get-go would have been, whereas Carlson
in trouble.
Yeah. Carlson sort of radiates kind of like, I'm the man and I know what I'm doing.
So he also played Willie Loomis in the Dark Shadows. Can somebody remind me what character he was?
He's a non-vampire. I know that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked him if he ever got bit by Jonathan Frid, and I think he did in the movie. He plays like House of Dark Shadows. He was Willie Loomis, but in Dark Shadows, it's got it as a couple different characters. So maybe that's because loose over the histories. They'd had repeat reincarnations, kind of.
Yeah, he played Carl Collins at one point, Desmond Collins, and Kendrick Young. But of course, who knows what that? Like you said, it could have been a dream character, but Willie Loomis is what he did for most of. But so he's not the werewolf character. The werewolf guy is somebody else. Okay. I'm just trying to figure. It's like, was he a romantic interest? Was he? Was his character? What was his? I don't know. I'm trying to remember the character and I can't. So anyway, that died on the vine. So we'll keep going.
I don't No, I'm with you. I mean, he had it's
been too long since I've seen any of the.
I know it's been a long time.
I used to run home after high school and watch that, but or junior high, I guess.
This guy has 121 credits. I mean, this is a working actor here.
Yep. All right, now this is Mother, and you guys kind of buried the lead on this one, but I totally did not follow this scene at all. I don't know where my head was at, but I thought he was somebody that was in between him and Mother, and I didn't get the whole thing got lost on me. My brain just didn't go where it wanted me to, where they
That was
wanted
one
me to.
weird scene, especially when he pats that butler on him.
It's weird, and I gotta say, this actor really did a great job because he's unfailingly polite and always has a smile on his face, and he is scary as crap. This is maybe you get the feeling that if the two of them had actually gotten there, things would have gone truly horrible for Valerie, like in really bad ways.
And it's one of those. It's great that this whole scene is in here, because the minute you sort of see this and understand the situation, just how screwed up Stefan is becomes immediately clear.
Right.
Like if you're still sort of like, oh, what is going on with this guy? Once you hit this part, you're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Right.
And now we know why he doesn't want to call Mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, just the whole dynamic that's there. You suddenly realize, oh, this explains so much of the self-loathing and the weirdness of that character, which in the previous part of the movies feels vaguely, inexplicable. You're like, well, what is with this guy? And
because he's sketched from day one, right?
Yeah,
he's sketched from the plane, the train on.
But it's all sort of like these little things that you're sort of like, and also that Valerie's putting together as she's like, there's that great thing where it's like, oh, we're getting to know each other. And it's like, oh God, did you guys just like meet and like over coffee and then get married the next day? This is a scene that doesn't need to be in the movie. You could have easily done this movie without this scene whatsoever, without Mother and all the Mother. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, but it adds to his psyche so much.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is a really brilliant thing to make that character much more explicable in some of the ways he reacts to the situation that they find in, as opposed to what most of the audience is thinking, which is like, wait, the minute this gets weird with this countess and whatever, it's like, we're out of here, right? It's like, no, there's more going on here. In order to understand that, here's Mother. Here's a scene that a different scriptwriter might have been like, oh, well, why would you even have that in there? So it's a great, and Bill's right. Who's the actor playing Mother?
Hans Rademacher.
It's great.
And he has won and was nominated for several awards in the Berlin International Film Festival from Netherlands. He's in Netherlands. John Carlin said that the director's intent in that phone scene, because they never actually speak, right? They're just acting to somebody else, was not to tell him that was a man.
Interesting.
But the producer said he deserved to know, so he told him.
Oh,
okay.
After the scenes were shot, or
no, beforehand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The producer went behind the director's back and told him.
Yeah. It is such an odd scene because also there's no payoff.
Didn't need one, really.
No.
I mean, it was there for a purpose, a sole purpose, and that was it.
Yeah, it was character exposition. It was like, here's something to make you understand why this character is the way he is.
But this guy almost comes across.
Could have been a neat third ending, but
there you go. But this guy, the Mother, comes across almost as frightening as Báthory does.
Yeah,
it's like, it's really interesting.
Well,
he's definitely scared of Mother.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It just cracks me up that someone designing the posters and the taglines thought to talk about that. That was the thing that scared them the most.
That's right. One of the taglines was about Mother. I was just like, wow, it's so odd.
Mother.
So here we've got the cape scene, which I love, the sparkly dress, which is, as you said, and Doc, what you were talking about there, look at the composition of that second shot. That's some beautiful stuff there.
Yep. All these shots. Well, maybe not the bottom one. The bottom was pretty simple, but the third picture with her on the and the different lighting, because you got the fire, yellows on one side, the warm yellows, and you got the cool blues and greens on the other side, and then she's in shadow. It's all backlit, which really allows them to do that effect without exposing how they did the effect. Makes it looks more, not to be repetitive, but it makes it more effective.
Yeah.
because I totally unexpected for me for that to be the ending, but yet it's 70s film, so like all 70s films, it's one of the signatures of a 70s film, isn't it? There's a downbeat ending where everybody everybody dies. The only person living is the guy that's running the hotel. Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way,
Well, except for Valerie, I guess.
Yeah.
he's played by Paul Esser, and the director told a story that he wanted to make him older, to go with that 40-year story. And so they wanted to gray his hair, and he refused to let him gray the hair and told them, I will play gray.
I think it worked. I never questioned
I thought it worked. I
mean, I thought he would be like, a teenager running around, but but it was fine. It didn't make it any less effective.
He says that he says he was a bellboy when
there you go.
You're just sort of like, okay, yeah, that's right.
And the retired policeman who he said was Georges. Do you pronounce this last part?
Okay, so
but he died like just a few months after they finished filming this.
Oh, that's too
bad. Oh no,
he got hit by a car.
You got hit.
Oh, too soon.
Oh my God, bad.
Too soon. It's only been 50 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's still.
He was good though. He had it's weird how you find somebody like that he had a kind of a creepy look that makes you think one thing. When he first is introduced, and then
a little pervy, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yet, and he keeps showing up. Like, what is she like? He shows up when she's trying to get out the door to go to the train station, right? To get Belly, and she's like, "I don't have time for you. Get out of my way."
Yeah.
But it was so okay. So the ending with he rides off and he sees everything they're doing, right? Because they look up and he's standing up there with his bike on top of the hill, and then on the way back. That's all it did. Bam! Knock him up with the bike and then
kept driving.
It was such.
Well, they're burying this person right in front of him. He's standing on the hill watching him. There's a great shot of him silhouetted on the hill.
It was such a strange choice.
I know.
I just have to mention that, and of course he's riding a bicycle because he's a retired policeman,
right?
So he doesn't have a car. I guess he can't. But his last film before this was one of the best titles I've ever seen. It was called Jeff.
Wow.
Nice. No, but wait, but was it JEFF or GEOFF?
It was JEFF.
Oh well, I guess that is a great title then.
There you go.
Porn.
There's a gang leader who disappears with the loot after a successful robbery. Okay, that sounds like something.
All right, let's wrap up this one final question.
Is that your retirement plan, Jeff?
There you go. Let's wrap this up with one final question to Chad. Chad, did we change your mind?
Absolutely not.
Knuckles.
It's okay.
I'll never watch this movie again. I do appreciate some of the points you guys brought out, though, about the actress. I did enjoy her performance quite a bit.
I mean, honestly, Chad, it wasn't beyond the time barrier.
No, it was.
You're right.
Nothing can compare to that.
Nothing. All right. This movie is
these doors were rectangular.
One last comment about Delphine Seyrig. When the director said she came in, she announced, like she pretty much she was a force, and so she got to do what she wanted to. She told him, "I'm going to play this with a smile throughout. This character is going to always be smiling."
Yeah,
and she does. It's amazing.
Which works tremendously well. It's a good choice. Good choice. All right, so I watched this on the Wicked channel, Wicked TV,
Wicked Horror TV.
Wicked Horror TV. Yes,
whatever it was, it was wicked.
It was wicked, and it was a good copy. It was a good copy. I really.
It's a very good copy on. I watched it again on Shudder. It's still on Shudder, and it looks great.
Excellent. So please check it out and let us know what you think of it down below. And speaking of that, Jeff, sorry, do we have feedback for tonight? You're on mute, sir.
Yes, we do. We got a few.
Jeff had to mute himself because he's over there coughing, and I was like, "Oh no, it's time to talk to Jeff," and he's over there like,
"Where's the mute button?"
Speaking Flemish,
Flemish, phlegm.
Yeah, I was. So, moving on down to feedback, and I got to give this one to Chad because he and I are the only ones that saw this. I think episode 156, Girly, aka Mumsy, Nanny, Sonny, and Girly. from, I can't read that.
John Hood,
John
31272.
Chad?
John Hood sarcastically, hopefully, says, "You Americans, you have no hope of understanding this movie." Let me tell you something, John.
Might be true, though.
I watched this movie from beginning to end, and I'm glad I didn't understand it.
Listen, man.
To be fair, that's an extremely British movie.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
This is why my
I-
ancestors left Ireland, so we weren't going to be forced to watch films like Mumsy, Nanny, Sonny, and Girly.
And what happens?
I replied to him and said, could you please help us out?
No, I could care less about
I
that
got
movie.
no reply. Well, I'd just be interested in what he says. I mean, and it probably is fitting that the first person I heard about this movie from was Joseph Perry.
Of course.
So that
yes.
helps explain a little bit.
It does indeed.
Next episode, 208, Effects. This was the George Romero group of super low budget people. Gregory from Auto Z, I think.
I love your shows. I've never seen this movie you're covering. I'll give it a try.
Short but sweet.
I like
What
it.
we're here for.
Dig it.
Honestly, isn't that like the best possible feedback?
That's a good,
Right?
great compliment, too. Yeah,
It
thank
is.
you. Yeah.
Thank you, Auto Z or Autoz or 0TT0Z. Anyway,
Keep trying. Keep going.
on episode 209, The Mad Butcher from Lanny Lord for Bill. Can you read that one?
Sure. Lenny Lord says, just subscribed.
Yay!
Yay. Thank you.
He says, everyone remembers Super Train. It became a punchline. Do any of you remember Time Express? It was only on once or twice, early 1980s. Vincent Price and his wife operated an Orient Express style train that would take passengers back through time in their
I do not
personal
remember
lives in the tradition of Fantasy Island. LOL. It did not do well. It may have been a pilot that failed, but it did air once. Looking forward
Oh
to your
my
reviews. Face green smiling. Explain that. What does face green smiling mean?
I don't know. I
Oh.
don't know. That was
Oh,
when I
these
copied
kids
it
today.
over. It was an emoji that was a green face
probably an
smiling, but I
emoji.
Oh,
Oh,
You know,
but I don't
I've
know
read
what it's
about-
supposed to mean.
I've read about that TV show. Have any of you ever seen that?
no,
Like,
it
Photo
sounds
Time?
fascinating.
I've never
That
heard
there
of
was
it.
Oh yeah,
This
no,
says
I
in-
read about it somewhere, and but I don't think I've never seen it anywhere.
Oh, if only that were
IMDb
real.
says 1979, 4 episodes.
Yeah,
I'd go back in time and buy some wise stock choices.
Morgan Fairchild
title
was
of
on it.
Morgan
title of
Fair.
the first-
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put
right.
Morgan
Fairchild on the show.
Jerry Stiller, Terry Nunn.
You
Very
saying
nice.
you want a piece of me?
The title of the first
I'm
episode is
surprised.
Garbage Man Doctor's Wife.
That's
Oh,
probably on
my.
YouTube somewhere. We'll have to.
There
I
must,
know,
there
now
must
I
be two
am-
people they take or something. You know?
The
Okay.
fact that Vincent Price was on it, I can't believe I didn't know about it.
I know.
I am,
Well, you
um,
know, hey, that artwork doesn't. come
Richard
cheap.
Macer was on it. So
Yep.
anyway,
It was ahead of
Well-
its time.
yeah, it must have been.
James MacArthur. What the heck?
Hmm.
All right. Dano. I wonder if he booked anybody. Too easy. Episode 211, Trog from Mikey Z.
Like
You see?
Doc, are we over to you?
Yeah, finally, you guys get to do the last film of Joan Crawford. Woof. Freddie Francis, Michael Goff, and stolen Ray Harryhausen effects. What else do you need? Oh yeah, Joan Crawford, who looks like she'd rather be selling Coca-Cola and be in this hodgepodge or having tea with Bette Davis.
Ooh, shots fired.
Oh my! Great to
Betty
see
Davis.
the dynamic Dirk grace the halls of DOH again, discussing this WTF is going on in early 70s film. Trog has finally been bested by the Grue Crew, or has it?
I love Trog.
Yeah.
I told Mikey, if he's going to keep writing comments like this, I'm just going to have him write the blog.
Hmm.
I'll
There you
just-
go.
save us a bunch of time. Or
No.
ask him if he'll drive it. I don't mean have him, but
Chad
oh,
was
here's
watching
one.
this movie
Chad,
wishing
do we
Trog
need
would
to
show
have
up. Oops, where'd it go?
should Gregory read his own thing, or should we?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
now that I can see how to read the feedback. I can read this.
okay.
All right.
In a comical voice.
Yeah. What do you think I've been using for the last
or
hour?
authentic voice. Authentic voice.
At long last, Trog, which is not good. But Joan Crawford does indeed act as if it is a consummate professional.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to second Jeff's recommendation of Sudden Fear, 1952, which is indeed a great noir with a great Crawford performance and an Oscar-nominated performance by Jack Palance in only his third film. He would score another nomination the following year for Shame.
I don't know. I didn't buy you as Gregory.
Yeah.
Well, because I was doing my Chad Hunt impression, and
Well,
I
that's because-
work on it because I haven't
That's
heard
because
Chad for
you're-
several weeks, and I gotta
Yeah.
get back in the throw of that.
This was Gregory Crosby 3325, and you're Gregory Crosby 3326.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm one of the other clones.
It's like
All
when
right,
50
so-
Cent made a movie about 50 Cent and he wasn't very convincing as 50 Cent.
It's 50.
It's true. I saw Sudden Fear several years ago at Film Forum as part of like a little noir, series. And Jack Palance is amazing, and I didn't realize then it's only his third movie,
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
and he's like boom. It's just really, 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 really great performance. And then he goes right after that. He goes right into the villain in Shame. So,
What?
Mm.
We
Back to
lost
back.
Bill right when we were getting to where he needed to read one.
No. Maybe that's
Okay,
why he ran
I
away.
agree. Thanks for backing that up, Gregory, because it's one of those ones. From Jose on Trog, Chad.
Jose says, I've never seen this one, but sure have heard a lot about it. I went spelunking once, and I'm sorry, in high school around 1984 or so. It was fun, but climbing 20 feet up a cave wall and wriggling through a tunnel barely wider than my body for many feet was enough for me. I'm good. And nobody played a pompous jerk as well as Michael Goff.
Yes, true.
True.
Absolutely
So well,
true,
so well.
Jose.
Wonder if he was like that.
I like it. He's like one of our podcasts. It's he goes off on strange offshoots there. And now Bill is back just in time.
Oh, no.
Oh, now's the one.
Where am I?
Or oh well, maybe not. 212, the Ghost Galleon.
That just dropped today, didn't it?
It did. Jerry says,
and here's the shortest thing we'll ever get from Jerry. So if I learned anything here, it's that I've got to get the sound settings on my new computer sorted out. Sheesh. I thought he sounded fine.
I thought you sounded fun.
it was a little bit
Holler.
off, but it was because I learned in Classic Era this weekend, we are amateur podcasters.
In the sense that we don't get paid for this.
That's
True
when I
enough.
can pay.
Yes.
No, in the sense from amateur derived from the Latin word for love.
Oh,
I like Gregory's
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with
excuse
that.
better.
yeah. But
Right?
he
And I
probably,
think-
That's what amateur is. We do this for the love.
but I'm guessing that
We
that
do.
person was
You're right.
saying it in more the sense of like amateur porn, as in not really well shot with bad sound and a lot of shadows on the wall. Or so I've heard.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how
exactly.
do you know
Oh,
about
you mean
all
like?
this?
Oh, in other words.
No,
porn like
Brian
this.
Clark was on for the Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. And I think he said something like, we as amateur podcasters or something like that, because he's been on podcasts before. All right. Mikey Z on Ghost
Mikey
Galleon.
Z.
Monkey Z.
We're over to Gregory now. This is the
Oh,
Oh,
no.
I get to
that's-
say Mikey Z. Oh, I've been.
no, Gregory just read his, so we got to do.
Yep.
I think it goes to Doc then.
I'll do it. Yeah, there's a lot for. We don't have to. All right.
Whatever it is, get to it.
What would Jerry
What?
Chandler do?
What would Jerry Chandler do when he confronts the third in the Blind Dead series? He goes full throttle into this entry. Go, Jerry! I'm glad you could. This put me to sleep. A promotional stunt goes weirdly awry, but who cares? Effing boring. Oh my goodness. And he keeps going. Sorry, Jerry. Your erudite attempt to justify this had no effect on me. Turn off your brain, entertainment? More like keep that power drill away from your temple. Sorry, this was not for me. This is a great film to be playing in the background when you do spring cleaning with the vacuum cleaner going full blast. Oh my gosh.
There's
great
a tagline.
Yeah, great podcast, guys. Let's hope the next one will be better. Oh, jeez. Keep rocking the 70s. Oh my God, I love it. Maybe the next one will be better. To Jerry regarding my feedback on the young self seeing boobies in a Hammer film, related book actually, and going back to the public library to see more. Give Doc the $5 for his guessing if I went back to the more Hammer related films or pictures of breastacular, chestacular. What? And yes, JC Mikey Z has had his fill of many memories of the same. Wow, just
Well, you're pushing it here, Mikey.
keep going, keep going
Into a therapy
Should we call
session.
for a wellness check on Jerry?
yes.
Not Jerry, but Mikey.
Mikey,
Well,
Jerry
right
too.
the
We'll
first
just in
time,
case. Happy Jerry. Happy
Jerry can
Jerry.
do it himself.
Yes, there you go. Happy Jerry had given Bill a break for once. Also, as Jose mentioned in another feedback, The Black Hole might be a good selection for the 70s. So much to talk about. From its classy score to legendary John Barry, who incidentally wrote the score to Star Crash as well. To the grisly death scenes, uncommon for live Disney fare, to the ending in hell.
I have to say that Anthony Perkins' death scene in The Black Hole is kind of like an indelible childhood memory.
Yeah. Well,
If you recall that.
Mikey, just so you know, we already have The Black Hole on the suggested list with your name by it. So
yes, we should do it.
Keep telling us.
we should do it sooner or later. We can do it sooner or later.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we didn't do porn on here.
Oh, stop.
Well,
only vampire porn.
who was it? We were talking about dubbing, and somebody told us who was that? Told us that was Anthony. One of Ernest Borgnine's lines was dubbed by Anthony Perkins. Like they got it screwed up when they did the reading.
Really?
Anthony Perkins is. Wait, no, not Anthony. Sorry, Anthony Hopkins. I was thinking he's done a few dubbing for other actors.
Anyway.
Never mind.
All right,
Where we're going.
people, please leave your feedback. You see, we love feedback. We love hearing from you. Even if you tell us, we hope it's better next time.
Yes,
I'm going to assume he meant a better film.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
it's not about a
sure.
better
Let's go with
but
that.
we know that's not what he said, though.
We love you, Mikey.
Oh my gosh,
There's a thin gray line out there, though, so be careful.
Nice. And we love suggestions as well. So if you have a film or a suggestion, please pass it along. Next week, we are finally doing a Hammer film that I've been threatening Bill Mulligan with since he first came on, and we did a Hammer film. Arguably, this is the last Hammer film. I guess there is one more, and then a TV show. But To the Devil, a Daughter from 1976. This was their response to the popularity of possession films, namely The Exorcist. And oh boy, it does have notoriety, and the notoriety comes in an actress. Bill, what is the actress's name?
Nastasha Kinski.
Yes.
And it's got Christopher Lee, and it's based on a novel by a great horror writer. What, I ask you, could go wrong?
And we will discuss everything that went wrong on the next episode. The movie does have its merits. They're small, but there are merits.
Just so you know, nobody suggested that.
No, it wasn't a suggestion. It was a threat.
I'm not crossing anybody.
No, but I'm frankly thrilled because I've never seen To the Devil, a Daughter. Now I have an
there you go.
To watch it.
I've seen it once a long time ago. I saw it when I was younger.
On Peacock, I think we decided,
on Peacock.
right?
On Peacock. I can't remember. It showed up on one late night on one of the like HBO or Cinemax or something in the early 80s, and I was just old enough to go ooh ah. for some of the scenes.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
All right.
but I
You'll
didn't know
still-
about it.
You'll still be going, ew. Ah.
Ooh, ah. All right. Well, there you go. That's our episode. Gregory, thank you for joining us again.
Thanks, Gregory.
Please come
Appreciate
back
it.
soon.
Absolute pleasure. I'm happy to bloviate about cinephilia anytime. And I promise I will never suggest an Ingmar Bergman film for the podcast because I am very, very happy that Chad is well and recovered and back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Welcome back,
Thank you.
Chad.
We are too. We are too.
It's
Yeah.
great to meet you, Greg.
Pleasure. Absolutely.
And Bill, Jeff, as always, thank you as well. All
I take
right.
you guys for granted. I see them every year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Big.
I could take it or leave.
With that, let's get here. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Everybody.
Night all.
Gruesome Magazine.